Question tradition. Whether you're in real estate and you want to grow your business, question what you want to do or you're doing what you're supposed to do because the industry told you so. If you're renting or you're a homeowner and you want to make real estate moves, are we indecisive because of tradition, right? What's happened in the past is stopping me from being where I want to be in the future, and just ask more questions.
Well, welcome to a new episode of Real Estate vs. Technology Unleashed, sponsored by Liftoff Agents. This is someone that I've known for many, many years. He's in the loan side. He's a mortgage officer. He loves to be able to have flexibility in his schedule. I remember him working out of his Sprinter van that he converted into an office, which is super cool. And of course, all of his links are down below, so you can give him a follow. Sean on Real Estate vs. Technology, welcome.
Thank you, brother. Merry Christmas. Stoked to be here.
It's just kind of a full circle moment because I remember watching you and seeing you from afar, and you were always ahead when it came to technology, the way that you operated, and just doing things different. I like it that you don't kind of stay in a box, you recreate the box, right? And as mortgage can only be sometimes so exciting or so sexy, it's like, how do you differentiate yourself? What do you do to set yourself apart and build a brand, which I think you've done a really good job over the years. So let's get in a little bit in your story. So anyone out there that doesn't know who you are, they can get kind of caught up. So what was the catalyst to get into real estate from the beginning?
I kind of fell into it. I wanted to be a game warden, went to school for that, kind of realized, maybe the first job to get cut is the animal cop. So maybe I need to find a different path. And I moved back home. My mom had been in mortgage for like 6 months or maybe a year. Okay. And I was like, well, maybe you should, I'm 19. I should have my life figured out by now. Maybe I should get my license and do whatever that is that you're doing. Because my little brother seems to be having a way better childhood than I did. So yeah. So that was kind of it. I started off in wholesale for mortgage at Washington Mutual. There was a guy that hired me as a sales assistant, like really took a chance on me. I had big plugs in my ears back then, like didn't own any dress clothes. And he just took a chance on me. And that was kind of it. I remember doing it and calling my mom and being like, I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand the language. I don't know what funding means. I don't know what underwriting means. Like, this isn't for me. And she's like, just give it 90 days. You have to it is another language. Give it 90 days. If after that you still don't like it, then bail. And, I remember I started in December, hung up my phone in March. This was old school, like no email, fax machine for rate locks, like phone on the desk, earpiece thing, like a telemarketer. But I hung up the phone. I was like, whoa, I know what I'm talking about. Like this one moment. And I just stared at it. I was like, whoa, I know exactly what I'm talking about. And that was it. It was like, from that moment on, I was like, this is actually what I'm supposed to do. Like, as odd as that may seem, like mortgage is the space I'm supposed to be in. Wow.
This is awesome. So yeah, I mean, I think anyone who's viewing and listening when you're young out there, you don't really know what you don't know. And it's like, what lane do you go into? What do you do for a career? And like, what are you going to be excited to do? And so during that time, what was it like and if you can give us kind of like a little bit of the period to like how it's evolved over the years with technology?
Oh yeah, it's insane. I mean, again, I started at 19. We didn't have email. That was at Washington Mutual. A year later, I went to Countrywide, and they were like, hey, we use email. I had an email address, but I still wasn't using it all that much. And then it slowly evolved, and just all of a sudden, okay, there's no more fax machines. All the files are going to be paperless. I used to just read, like, the loan app goes on one side of the folder, all the income and asset documents go on the other side of the folder, and you would flip through. And I was like, there's no way I'll be able to do this from a screen. And now we don't do any of it. I mean, I think that by and large, the tech's been good. I think it's created more transparency across the board in the mortgage space and just more efficiency. But it's just been, like, I kind of feel like my grandparents were, I'm like, whoa, you knew life before a TV. Like, you used to listen to the radio. And so I'm that guy in the mortgage space now.
Wow, that's so interesting. Yeah, back when there was this like 8-track and records and tape cassettes and stuff of that nature. Interesting. Yeah, it's interesting how technology has evolved to a point where now it makes it seamless with DocuSign, and it's a lot easier, and everything's more of a standard procedure, even with getting into AI as well. But from when you started to where you're at now, I mean, how have you seen things evolve from the perspective of paperwork? It seems like there's been so many additional regulations over the years. And would you say it's because of technology that now we can cross the T's and dot the I's, or would you say the regulations are just because of overall changes in the market and government regulations? What's your take on that?
That's a good question. I think the paperwork's kind of the same. The paperwork really hasn't changed. It's just digital instead of printed now, right?
Okay.
Like the loan application for the most part is the same. Pay stubs, documents, all that stuff's basically still the same. It's just all, for the most part, digital. Like most signing appointments for closing still happen in person with a notary. They don't have to, but the digital notary process is more complicated than the old school paper route. So I always have my clients do the old school paper route just because it's still easier for them.
Really?
So it's like, even with all the tech, mortgage, and I think this is due to compliance, really hasn't shifted all that much.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's good to know. And that's interesting that on some instances, like the paper makes more sense than the digital side, which also I feel like when I closed in this house, I used to live in California, and about 5 years ago, I moved to outside of Central Phoenix in Gilbert, Arizona, and we went to Scottsdale, signed the docs. And there's something about signing docs that just feels real. A little bit more real than like the digital side of things, which is very interesting. So yeah, I have to agree with you on that. And when it comes to over the years of being in the industry, and Instagram's down below, give Sean a follow. I like how you say you help renters become homeowners. What do you think, if anyone out there is viewing and listening that are potentially renting, what do you think some of the things that hold them back the most is? Is it something that like the market? Is it news? Is it their friends telling them certain things? Just lack of just knowledge? Like, what do you think is some key factors there?
I think it's a big part of it to me is the media. You've never heard the media say there's a good time to buy real estate, right? And while we're all sitting around renting, all these investors keep buying up properties to where they would love for us to have to be tenants for the rest of our lives. Yeah. So, maybe I'm a little bit of a conspiracy theorist, but I just find it very interesting that in 2020, 2021, it was don't buy a house because home values are going up way too fast. When we had free money, like mortgage rates below the rate of inflation. That is quite literally free money. But don't buy a house, they're going up too fast. And then 2022 happens and the market kind of normalizes and you see values either stay the same or start to go down a little bit, like a little bit of a dip. Don't buy real estate because home values are going down. It's like, wait, I shouldn't buy a house when home values are going up. I shouldn't buy a house when home values are going down. When am I supposed to buy? And that's why I really focus a lot on first-time buyers and education, is because there's a fear of making a mistake, right? Like, it's not so much FOMO. I think 2020, 2021, everyone was buying houses because all their friends were buying houses. Yeah. And it was FOMO. And now it's like fear of making a mistake. I don't want to buy and then the market crashes. You think of like even for me, the only, I'm 44 now, the only recession I've personally experienced is 2008. And so looking at that, it's like, recession equals home values crashing, right? And so when we hear about the job reports coming out, I think we're in a recession right now. But when we hear about the jobs reports coming out, things like that, it's like, we're getting into a recession. And all of, the younger generation's mind, it's recession equals home crash. When the reality is, it's the only one in history that home values went down in. So that's where the education comes from. So I think it's a combination of a fear of making a mistake, the media kind of driving that fear, and then just this, I hate to say it this way, but kind of this like victim's mindset of like, homes are too expensive now. I got screwed, so I'm going to pout. And I'm like, well, buy a house. Like, they don't pout. That's not going to solve the problem. No one's going to say, I'm so sorry, we'll drop home values for you. And on that note, I use my grandparents. I've used them, the house they owned in Silicon Valley as like, I started doing this in like 2016, I think. But using them as an example, going, hey, my grandparents bought this house, and I have a picture of it, for $45,000 in 1975. Wow. And now it's worth $3 million, right? And so we go, boomers are so lucky, and I'm like, well, hold on a sec. Those same grandparents told me a candy bar used to cost a nickel, and now they're like $2. So they struggled the same way we are. They were pinching pennies to get everything together. They had dual income families. Like, my grandmother and my grandfather both worked. They had 3 kids. They went through the same struggle. It's just inflation, right? So I try to show people the way you win through real estate long term is inflation is the biggest driver of appreciation. So long term, you can't lose, because a dollar is not going to be worth today what it will be later. Like, it's just going to get diminished. It always does. And so the longer you wait, the more inflation's working against you.
Yeah. No, 100%. And you could use that from multiple facets. Like right now, the market sucks. And I look at that from the psychology perspective of like, hey, I'm getting in at a discount. So I'm buying up Bitcoin. I was like looking at Bitcoin was like 120 something thousand. And I'm like, holy shit. And now it went down to like whatever it's at right now in like the 80s or 90s. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm buying at a discount, right? I dollar cost average on a weekly basis into whether it's XRP or crypto, and different things like, and just so everyone knows, it's not a financial advice, just for entertainment purposes. But SoFi or Nvidia, there's just so many things to buy. And that's where I feel like, get in when you can, like you're talking about, regardless of what the market says or what, the news has to say, or even your friend, and get in when you can. Cause like, even with my wife and I, we bought this house sight unseen, and it was during COVID, and my mother-in-law, father-in-law, so already lived here. And then, so I actually had a couple mothers-in-laws and father-in-law. My wife's family is huge. So stepmother-in-law, father-in-law, and her biological. And so we basically said, hey, we're out. COVID came. We're like not taking a vaccine shot, doing all of that to go to a restaurant. And so we sold a condo in Hayward for like $568 and bought a 2-story, 10,000 square foot lot, 3,300 square foot home, 6 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms for like, they wanted $461, we got down to $441. So it's like, holy cow, the spread, the difference, we put $90,000 down, 2.75, we're at $1,775. And then we house hacked. So I got travel trailer on Airbnb. I got a room on Airbnb. We built a studio apartment upstairs. And so, now the house pays us to live in it and also pays for things also like lawn, pool, solar, whatever. And I think that people are totally missing out on some amazing opportunities.
No, 100%. And like, let's just go back to Bitcoin. Bitcoin, think of how many people panic sold when it hit 120 and then it started to tank and let's just say it got down to 90. And they're like, oh my gosh, I got to stop myself from losing more money, right? Yeah. So they panic sell. You can't panic sell real estate. Like you can't. You can't make an emotional decision like that. You're protected from your own mind with real estate. And it is, not every market's the same. I almost feel like right now the markets have gone to a place where if it is the right house, you're going to still get multiple offers. Yeah. But if it doesn't check every single box, it might sit longer. Yeah. And that's great. That means you can get it at a lower price. That means you can get lower interest rates. That means you can get your closing costs covered. There's all these benefits that come along with buying in that market, knowing that over time you're going to win. You can't lose. Like it's impossible to lose. But people still can't get out of their own way of, well, what if I'm the only one that makes the mistake? What if, all that stuff Sean said makes sense, but what if it doesn't work out for me? I'm just going to keep renting because it's known. And that's what I try to help people. I use a lot of tech to walk people through the emotional side using data and analysis to go, okay, I understand the emotion, but let's look at the numbers long-term and short-term to show you how you can get what you want when you want it.
Yeah, no, I absolutely love it. I mean, it makes perfect sense for anyone viewing and listening out there. It's like, think about it. At the end of the day, you're going to, age. And as you age, time will progress. And as time progresses, you could do things, whether it's purchasing crypto or just getting into the stock market or saving for a down payment and then buying a house. And so, we literally, after buying this house, just for anyone who's viewing and listening, just to give them case in point, like $441, the house almost worth $800,000. I mean, we owe like $300,000 on this house. And so it's like, we pulled out a little HELOC. We did 8 fix and flips just on the side, just to, that didn't work out really great, whatever. You live and learn, but it gives you so much more flexibility. And the one thing I think about buying a home, which is so cool, is like the possibility of your imagination and how like my wife and I, we just went wild. So we built out this studio apartment, or not, that's upstairs studio apartment, but the studio office. And so I have podcast room over there. Over here is where I meet a lot of individuals on the lift off agent side, and I'm sitting poolside and got the hot tub. We got the gym. I'm finishing up the garage. So after this podcast, I'm going to go finish some painting because I have a big event coming up on the 1st with a bunch of supercars and GTRs. And that's one of my passions. And so it's the opportunities outside of like asking your landlord, or if something breaks or whatever else, you have to like ask the man or ask the woman and get permission or whatever the case may be. Or who knows, like get forced to have to like leave the house you've been renting because they want to sell it.
Right.
You're screwed.
And that happens all the time. And it's like, okay, well, now I'm out of my comfort zone. And we bought our house in 2021. We were planning on leaving, ended up not leaving California, and this house showed up, and I have a 22-year-old son, an 18-year-old son, and then an 8-year-old, right? They were younger back then, but all living with us still. And so the dynamic of that, like the older boys want to have their friends over and party and do their thing.
Heck yeah.
So the house is kind of perfect for the dynamic of our family. There were 20 offers.
Wow.
I did the loan for the house 3 doors down 2 months before. So I had the appraisal. So I kind of figured I knew what it was going to sell for.
Yeah.
It went 100,000 higher than my offer, which was 100,000 over the list price. Right. Ooh. And I got the opportunity to quote unquote, the opportunity to match the all cash offer. It worked out. Like, it was like, I have to do this. And I went into it going, I don't want to pay that much for this house. Right. Like, I don't want to, all the same things we're talking about right now. And I sat down and built every client a buyer's guide site, and I looked at my own. I was like, okay, what are my options? Interest rates are going to go up. If there's 20 offers, 19 of us are going to go fight for the next house, and this is now the most recent comparable sale. So the next house is going to be more expensive and have more competition, and interest rates can only be higher. If I have the opportunity to buy this house that is absolutely perfect for the dynamic of my family, and that's the other what if a house like this doesn't come around again? Yeah. Right. So called my wife into the office. I'm like, hey, here's the deal. Like, showed her our buyer's guide. And I'm like, we have to buy this house. And she's crying. She's like, where does all the money come from? And at that time, I'm qualifying a kid that worked at Tesla 2 years out of college. He's got 7 figures in his Tesla stock account just by way of restricted stock income. And I showed her, I'm like, this is who we're up against. And there's nothing we can do about it. But like, that kid's going, being a millionaire is easy. Like, I just graduated college, got a job at Tesla, and I'm a millionaire. This is easy. There was so much of that happening back then. And it's like the best decision I ever made. Is the house more expensive than I wanted? Yes. Is the payment more than I wanted? Yes. But life's great. Like, I'm so grateful to have it. Yeah. And I told my kids, dude, we're never selling. Like, I called my wife one day. I'm like, hey, if we ever get divorced, we're not selling this house. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to freak you out. I'm just saying, like, once you get into that stage, everyone's super emotional and irrational. Yeah. This house is for the boys. Like, this house will stay in our family forever, because 10, 15 years from now, it's going to rent for like $15,000 because of inflation, So it's like, and it's going to be worth way more money then. And so, when you start to get into looking at things more long-term and zooming out and not focusing on what are home values doing in this exact moment. I'm not moving. I don't care if the home value goes down. I'm not moving. And then to your point, we bought it. It went up $500,000 in 12 months. And then it came down a little bit. And now I'm right back up to that mark. And I'm like, I don't care because I'm not moving. So who cares?
Yeah. Wow. No, I love that. And there's a quote that I heard. Something goes like, millionaires sell, billionaires don't. And, it's just it's a mental mindset thing, for us, like, we're wanting to buy our next house. And so, all right, want to buy our next house. What does this look like? We want to be up north. And so it gets a little hot 3-4 months out of the year in Arizona, as we all know. I mean, not all year, but you don't have to try and check out for yourself, but it's beautiful. So Strawberry and Pine isn't too far from here. We can hit the 87, be up north in about an hour and a half, 7,000 feet elevation. So we want to get a place up there. And so I'm like, how do we house hack so this house is self-sufficient? You look at the, I'm thinking business term P&L, but you look at the income statement, right? For my wife and I, where we're at, and she has a tea company, she's growing that. So she's entrepreneur. And then I have the marketing firm, Liftoff Agent, that sponsors our podcast here. And it's like, okay, cool. If I can have this house be self-sufficient, then get to the next house, potentially put that on Airbnb, and then I can just have that when I want to use it and then share it with other people when not. I mean, I absolutely love that. I think it makes the most sense for our lifestyle and for what we want to do, and then not have to sit there and be like over leverage. I think that being a business, being a house or a homeowner is awesome for so many different ways to leverage. And so many people get so stuck thinking that they can't do it for whatever reason. And it's unfortunate that the powers that be doesn't serve or support the ideology of becoming a homeowner. And then you have individuals like Mr. Grant Cardone saying, like, don't buy a house. You don't need to buy a house. He has his own ideologies as far as cash flow first and whatever. Buy a duplex, live in one, rent the other. Lots of options, but it's possible, everyone out there.
Well, and it's like, that's a lifestyle choice, right? Like, if, maybe my family were just more traditional and like, you buy your house and you raise your kids, and I want that life. I don't want to rent someone else's house and, to your point, find out I'm getting kicked out, but brag about the investment properties I have. I'd rather take the single family and use the equity that I grow to buy investment properties, like leverage one house for more. House enables us to do the same thing,
Yes.
Whether you like Elon or not, that was the process back then. And I was like, look, here's a billionaire who's leveraging a loan on an asset, which is a mortgage, to buy another asset. Like 100%. That's what us normal people can do with a house.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. And that's where it's just like cars. I'm a car guy. So the GTR is 2016 Nissan GTR own around 50 and it's worth around 100 grand. So I'm sitting on 50,000 there. And I was talking to a financial advisor yesterday. They do infinite banking and what have you. And they're talking about an investment opportunity of like $50,000 at a 5% rate of return, which is $2,500 a month. I'm like, And then he's saying, hey, how about you leverage equity in that car? And then you potentially can invest in this fund and then you can be able to make that difference. And then you can pay the payment and also have cash in your pocket. So I don't know. My wife's like, I love money movement. It's one thing that I absolutely just get off on. I love on Mondays kind of going through whether it's dollar cost averaging, where's the market, where am I going to move this? What am I going to do with that? And at the same time, paying down a little bit of debts at the same time, and also leveraging free money. There's a lot of free money out there right now, whether it's 0% APR cards or various different programs now that I think that is putting a lot of people in debt, which sucks for people out there that are getting those 0% for purchasing things. And then you have to make the payment plan. And then from there, you're at a point where you're like, oh my God, like, over leveraging as far as, debt to income ratios, that type of thing. But I love being able to utilize free money and using that for your advantage too.
Yeah. And then other people might hear that and be like, I don't want to do all that. I don't want to wake up on Monday and look at dollar cost averaging and call a financial advisor and what is crypto doing. And okay, cool. I just want to go work my 9 to 5, come home, play with my kids, go golf, go fishing, go do whatever. Great. Owning a home will make you a millionaire. Yeah. That's all you have to do. But if you keep renting forever, you will never build anything, right? Yes. And so it's like, if you're not interested in understanding all the ins and outs of finances, buy a house and it'll kind of take care of itself. Like that's been a big passion project of mine this year. There's a heating and air conditioning company that I set up an employee benefit program with. Oh, nice. My dad was in heating and air conditioning. The way I was raised is you pay your rent, you pay your bills, you work your 40 hours, and then you'll retire one day. And anybody with a Mercedes is the worst people on the planet. Yuppies suck, rich people suck because we didn't have, right? And then I went, wait a sec, like none of that's true. So I kind of had this, like, I went to this HVAC company, set up this benefit program. And I'm like, look, you guys, the internet, social media, the media is saying that the only way you can buy a house in California is if you're a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, like otherwise you're screwed. I've helped a bunch of those guys buy homes this year. And I'm like, and I'm showing them in their buyer's guide site, like, this is how quickly home ownership is going to work to your benefit. And they're so like over the moon. 1, I didn't think it was possible. 2, I can't believe I did it. 3, I love that Sean showed me how I'm going to have money. What could a home dip in value tomorrow? Sure. Yeah. But 15 years from now, you really can't lose.
Oh my God, 100%. I'm actually, and this is a book that anyone out there wants to check out. It's called The Psychology of Money. And so it's, put it on screen here. So Psychology of Money. And he talks about one of the stories was like, this guy was only making $1,800 a month, but he lived on 1,000 and saved 800. And then he did that 800 times, I want to say 2 years, which is going to be 24 months. He almost had $20,000. And with that $20,000, he quit his job and started a business and then became a millionaire. But point being, you could do the same thing with getting a down payment on a house.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. There's just, I think once you put your mind to something, God, the universe, whatever you want to call it, like will align with what you've said you want. But if all you do is say, I hate this, I don't want that, I don't want that, it's like, okay, cool. I don't know what to do with any of that information. Like you told me what you hate. I still don't know how to give you what you want because you haven't said it, right? One of the problems with real estate, I think right now is think of how loan officers and real estate agents advertise. I'll help you buy your dream home, right? Well, my dream home's not a 2-bedroom condo. Like my dream home is my dream home. And you said you gave me the false impression you'd help me buy it. And so I got pre-approved and I can't get pre-approved for my dream home. And so there's like, that's where I think this like sense of entitlement or, the internet's kind of ruining things because people want instant gratification. I bought a condo when I was 20, sold the condo after 2 years, took the equity tax-free, bought a townhouse. sold the townhouse 2 years later, took the equity tax-free, bought the single family. That was supposed to be a 2-year plan. '08 hits. We ended up there for 12 years. I couldn't bring myself to foreclose, even though it probably would have been the smartest decision in that moment, but my pride wouldn't let me do that. Kept making my payments, living in it, paid down the mortgage dramatically, market recovers, sell that house. Now we have what I would consider it's as close to a dream home as I can get. It has everything I've ever wanted, right? Wow. It has everything I didn't know I wanted. If I hadn't bought those other 3 houses, I never would have been able to buy this one. But going back to leverage, I woke up one morning, I was like, I wonder how much money I'd have had I not sold those homes. And so I went through and just went on Redfin and was looking at values. There's like $4.5 million in equity that I don't have because I sold. Right. Dang. So it's like that's the concept I'm really trying to teach people now is, like you said earlier, don't sell, like buy a house. Well, what do? We need a bigger house now. How do we get the down payment? Take out a home equity line of credit, figure out short-term, long-term, mid-term rental for your existing home, and then just rinse and repeat. Or we don't need to buy another house. We love this house. We have one rental. They're both working for us. Our life is good and happy. Perfect. Like that's what matters.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see, now because of the fact that people did buy when it was 2.75 and they have the lowest interest rate because of back in 2020, 21, 22, a lot of people are just like what we're doing is just adding to the house, making it nicer, making it bigger, making it better. If we have the lot space, why not? And just making it turn into something more than what we initially had. So then we can appraise it and then it could be worth more equity. And, HELOCs, it's just like, I was talking to this financial advisor yesterday. I'm like, man, I wish we would have put that 60,000 not in a fix and flip and now have, that 30-year loan, which will pay off before that time frame, and would have put it into some type of an investment account where, there could have been a 5% rate of return, but you don't know what you don't know if you're not playing the game.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's how you learn. And one thing too, from a psychological perspective, so I talked about how everyone says how lucky boomers were, right? And that's like victim mindset to me, like, I'm not them. And then we talk about people who bought homes in 2020 and 2021, how they have a 2%, 2.5% interest rate. They got so lucky. Now I have to buy at 6%. I think that the 2% interest rates have become more of a curse than a blessing. Yeah. Because I gave this example, like this was an epiphany. I was talking to a client one day. He's like, oh, we're just going to wait until rates come down. I was like, okay, why? He's like, well, it'll be more affordable. I'm like, well, what will happen to home price? If it becomes more affordable for you, doesn't it become more affordable for everybody else? He's like, yeah. I'm like, so what do you think's going to happen to home prices if you wait for rates to come down? He's like, well, home prices will go up. I'm like, well, if the home price goes up and the rate comes down, but you have to borrow more money, are you actually materializing any savings? Is it becoming more affordable? And I go, you're lucky to get to, this is when rates were at 7. I'm like, you're lucky you get to buy a house with rates in the 7s. Yeah. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, dude, this is your worst case scenario. You buy at 7%. Let's just say rates come down to 6. Everyone starts fighting over homes again, driving your home value up, and you just refinance and save more money. No one's coming to save me. I'm never going to get to refinance and improve my monthly payment. So it's a curse, not a blessing, to buy with a higher interest rate, knowing that this is my worst case scenario. And at some point I'm going to be able to improve my monthly costs. Yeah. That's a blessing. Yeah. And so we just have to shift how it's glass half full, half empty,
Yeah, 100%. And that's why I think anyone who's viewing and listening is like, does life happen for you or to you? Victim mindset or not victim mindset? Do you want to own a house? Do you not want to own a house? Do you want to have financial, wealth and abundance to a point where you can create a legacy? Or for like what you're doing, Sean, like, hey, my kids are going to have this house and it's something that they're going to be able to enjoy. And what city is it in?
I'm in Danville.
You're in Danville? Danville is beautiful. Danville, Alamo, like those houses and like some of the lots, it's just like beautiful.
Yeah, I'm stoked. It's like I'm a mile from my office. I can walk downtown. We have the pool, the pizza oven, chickens. I can put I like to fish a lot. We've got the jet ski on the side yard. Nice. We entertain. There are people at our house every single day. It's super fun. And those are all the things I didn't know I wanted. Like once my wife sent me a picture of this house, I was like, oh, it's got a pool. Of course I knew I wanted a pool. Pizza oven, chickens, like everything. I was like, oh, and it backs up to one of our cousins, my wife's cousin's houses, who has kids the same age as us. So we put in a gate. And I'm like, dude, this is great. So, and so I just make my payment just like it would be paying rent. And I build equity by me paying down my loan balance and by the market doing what the market does. and I win. And that's kind of what, when you were saying victim mindset, not victim mindset, it made me think of like, I'm not trying to be insulting to anybody by saying it that way. No. What I mean by that is like going back to the universe can't give you what you want if you don't say what you want. So if Correct. You're saying I'm mad that I didn't get the opportunity to buy a house because I wasn't born in the 50s. Okay. I'm mad that I can't get the low interest rate. Okay, but all those negative things you're saying of why you can't sounds like what you actually do want is to buy a house. So let's find a way to help you buy a house and stop complaining about things we can't control.
Amen. I love that. What's some things that you are up against or you have come up in various different consults? I'm sure people jump on your calendar, you have different meetings, and I can imagine, they're not always kind of like, all right, like a standard procedure. It's like, almost I can imagine you being kind of like a psychologist, or being like a therapist and like walking them through the process. So is there any stories you could share with us today on the show that, you walk someone through a specific type of mindset that got them to be like, oh my God, okay, like this is possible. And then there was silver lining and maybe a success story.
I mean, that's kind of almost every day. So really? Most of the people I talk to, I always say I do 4th grade math and psychology for a living. I don't believe in scripts. I'm not a salesperson. I believe I'm in service. And I believe somebody once said, you either are a marketer or you're a salesman. You cannot be both. And I agree with that because I don't want to sell anyone anything, but I do love marketing, right? If I believe I'm an advisor and I'm here to serve people, I need to market to make sure people know that I'm here for them, right? Yeah. So I really like how he said that. And so I do Zoom or phone consults with every single person that gets referred to me once they set it up. And it's just like, what's on your mind? Like, I just want to do a quick call to see where you're at, what's on your mind. And they'll tell me, and then we'll kind of position solutions around that. And that's why I build every client a personalized website, is because it gives me the ability to show instead of just tell, right? Like I tell you that it's better to own than to rent. Yeah, of course, Sean, you're going to say that you're a mortgage guy. Like you don't make any money if you don't convince me to buy a house, right? I don't want to convince you. I want to show you the numbers. And one of the biggest things for keeping on this rent versus own scenario. Yeah. The way that we look at rent is what we pay per month. So if I say my rent's $5,000 a month, it just is what it is. And then I say, but I don't like that the bank's going to make millions of dollars off of me in interest. It's like, well, you're paying 100% interest right now. Your $5,000 rent payment is 100% interest. You're getting nothing out of it. Your landlord's getting every penny of that money. But we only think of it monthly. And so what I'll show people is short term, like 3 years, right? I think I've never really done a 5-year plan. I think, especially these days with everything else, I don't know what the world looks like in 5 years. But let's look 3 years out. Like I feel like I can look 3 years out. But I've shown somebody how much rent they'll pay. So if you're paying $5,000 a month, that's $60,000 a year. That's $180,000. So you're in the next 3 years, you'll pay $180,000 in rent, and you'll have no equity. And that's like the mind blown moment. And human nature doesn't look at, oh my gosh, I can't believe I'm about to waste $180,000 renting. We are negative. So we go, I can't believe I have paid $180,000 over the last 3 years. So we look straight hindsight like we made this massive mistake.
So owning, and then you'll pay $200,000, which is going to be a little bit more.
So basically, if we're comparing renting to owning, you'll pay $180,000 in rent, $200,000 on your mortgage in this example, mortgage, taxes, insurance. But for that $200,000, you have equity. Like I'll show people, if you do just 3% down, so on a $500,000 home, that's $15,000 out of pocket. Let's say the seller covers all your closing costs. If the home appreciates like 4%, now you have $60,000 in 3 years. And it's like, that's how quickly real estate can work to your benefit.
Yeah. Most definitely. I think it makes a whole lot more sense to own. As you could all see now, owning definitely gives you a lot more appreciation, gives you a lot more flexibility, and gives you the opportunity to be able to have additional choices to make, whether you sell, HELOC, rent a room, Airbnb, whatever it is that you want to do. There's just so many more opportunities with that, which is awesome. Want to get into a little bit of the van story and here, because this is a little segment personally, I'm curious. But if you're in the Bay Area, East Bay, I go out there multiple times a year. My family still lives there in Pleasanton. You're gonna see Sean. So you still have the van? Is it wrapped? You still rocking it?
Yeah, so I got a new one now. It's not wrapped, and that was an experiment, right? So the wrap was, will this generate business? It didn't, and so I don't want to run around looking like a billboard if it doesn't do me any good. So still have a van. So for the van story, I started originating loans. So I became a mortgage advisor in January of 2017.
Okay.
And my middle son at the time was what we were like driving somewhere. He's watching a YouTube video on his phone. He's like, dude, check this out. And he shows me a picture of this girl like sitting in her van. It's all done up, like on her laptop with the slider open, looking at like this amazing mountain view. And I was like, well, like, I want to live like that, right? If I didn't have you freaking kids, I could go do that. And I just like, well, wait, maybe I can make an office out of that. And for me, I always, going back to innovation and technology, like, I don't need to sit in an office anymore. We do this because it's traditional. It's the way it's always been done.
Yep.
And so I said, why can't I build out a van and work from anywhere I want? Like, why do I need to sit in this office in Alamo that I was assigned to? I took a chance. I like bought the van. So again, took a little bit of risk. I bought an empty FedEx van basically for $40,000. And I remember signing the paperwork like, man, I really hope this works. And the company I was with at the time was supposed to give me a budget to do the build out. As soon as I bought the van, he bailed on me. So here I am, got to figure it out. So I built it all out myself. Had like a hotspot, right? That's all I had. And I was working everywhere. And that was in 2017. And it was an amazing marketing tool at the time because I had a social media campaign around it. Like, it was innovative. Nobody else was doing it yet. And then COVID hits and it was like the most perfect thing ever. Like, my son and I would be in Half Moon Bay. He's doing online school. We'd go out on our jet ski, go catch rockfish and halibut. And then, I'm like, what time's your first class? He's like, 9. I'm like, let's just give it like 5 more minutes and we'll just say the Wi-Fi was bad. And then you'll show up a little late. So we'll jam back into the harbor. He gets into, he'd go into one part of the van, like get on his laptop to do his class. I'm in the back working, like didn't miss a beat. And I got to enjoy life more than I ever have. Right. Wow. COVID years were my favorite, like hands down, my favorite 2 years of my life were 2020 and 2021. Like, wow. We did so much with our friends and our family, like in that time frame. And I actually was hopeful that what the lessons we learned through COVID from like what's important perspective would stick. And it seems like we just always revert back to what it's always been. Sold that van because it became like my everyday driver, right? And that was not something I expected. So I sold that van in 2021, got a new one that I can fit like 5 seats. It's got more room. But now I have Starlink, right? So I could... And Starlink fits in my backpack. I was in St. Bart's, like didn't miss a beat working on my own personal Wi-Fi because I can bring the internet anywhere I want to go now, right? So heck yeah. I think getting back to the tech side of things, like if you're doing what you've always done, and if you feel yourself either emotionally unhappy or you hear yourself complaining about it, you have to ask, why can't I? Mm-hmm. Like, why can't I work from a van? Why do I need to work in an office? I had to do a pre-approval late one night. I think this is like before I had the van. And I can get things done far faster if I have 2 screens, like income and asset documents on one, qualifying on another. Yep. So I'm talking to this realtor and I'm like, okay, I got to do this. I'm like, tell my wife, I'm going to jam to the office. It's 10 minutes from our house. I'll be right back. And I'm pissed. I'm like, this is stupid that I have to leave my family to go make this stupid letter. And I was just like, Sean, why don't you just get a second monitor? Like, there's got to be a USB monitor that can hook up to your laptop. So I just like looked on Amazon. I'm like, portable USB laptop monitor. Oh, there it is. Add to cart, done. Problem solved. I'll never have to drive to the office again to have 2 screens. That's a dumb problem to have. So I bought my time back. And that's what I think the van did. The van enables me to do whatever I want. Like now my kid's a professional bull rider. So he's traveling all over the place and I can take the van. He goes and runs around with his rodeo buddies. I can get work done. I don't have to miss out on my son's, I guess, job now, but like his passion, because I have to work, I can go do these things with him.
Dude, that's freaking so cool. Kudos to you and congratulations. And yeah, I didn't know it went that far as with the van. And like, that's super cool because yeah, I feel like one thing that did shift for a lot of people during COVID is the fact that you can work from home and be virtual and be everywhere and nowhere at the same time. That's why I had an office right there at Alamo as well. And I was like, no, I'm done. Like, I'm going to go ahead. And it was like 8 months before COVID hit. We closed down the office. I built out a little office in the garage. And my wife now, then girlfriend, I met her on Instagram and I basically started going through her whole house. I was a single bachelor. I was living in Walnut Creek and I was like, oh, this is great. And that lasted like about a year before, we next thing you know, moving in and then, conceiving and having our daughter. Now she's 7. And so, yeah, so coming out to Arizona, I'm like, I don't need to be in California. I could be anywhere. Right. And I just need a laptop. So my team's international. So they're in the Philippines. I go out there every single year and I can take meetings a little harder because time zone wise. So you're like maybe up in the middle of the night trying to take a meeting, which doesn't work. But you gotta get up extra early to try to hit some meetings like basically early afternoon when you get up there in the Philippines because they're a day and 2 hours ahead. But yeah, I think anyone who's viewing and listening out there, you don't have to be subject to a 9 to 5 and sit in traffic and go to an office and go to a desk that you hate. Just like you don't have to be renting and do something like have a landlord and get kicked out and all that type of stuff. You can have more control. And I think that like, that's the one thing I like about our show today is that like, to inspire people to like buy and it's possible what they could do. And then also like autonomy, like be anywhere and everywhere. And like, that's why I love the podcast from this perspective. I could do this style podcast anywhere. That's when we kicked it off during COVID. And then I did an in-person podcast studio that's behind this desk setup so that people can come to the house as well and have more of a personal, intimate type of setting. I think sometimes offices can be kind of stuffy, the corporate stuffy, you gotta have a suit and tie type of thing, so which is different. But bull rider, huh? That's amazing. Congratulations to him. Did he always want to ride bull or like how did that even?
That's a whole other story. So for me, I've always wanted my boys to follow their passion, right? So I had my oldest son when I was 21. He's 22 now, and he's a YouTuber. So like, he's like, I want to do this. And so I'm like, well, do it. You're young. Like I thought when I was 19, I needed to have my life figured out. I realized that was totally wrong. So with my boys, I'm like, dude, I want you guys to, if you can make a living doing what you love, go do it. Start there. Right. So my oldest son is an influencer now. Like we're coming to Scottsdale on Friday. We go to the Winter Wonderland thing. They have the Princess Hotel. Yeah. And last year, this is my first year experiencing it. Like all these kids are coming up to Ashton, like, are you Ashton Herrero? Can we take a picture? And parents are like, what should I know who your kid is? And so I'm excited to see how that goes this year. So with Kingston, I don't know how a kid from the suburbs ends up being like one of the best bull riders in the country, but he is. And I think it's like, it's his purpose. This is what he's supposed to do. I fought it tooth and nail, right? Wow. Like the last thing I want my kid to do, we didn't quit racing dirt bikes so that you could go ride bulls. Like we don't need to do the most dangerous thing, but that's ultimately wanted to do. And when he was 16, I was like, now that he's driving, he's going to go do it. And he's just not going to tell me, so I might as well be okay with it so that at least I know what's going on. Then he just turned 18 in October. So now he's riding the PBR circuit. He'll ride the PRCA rodeo circuit. Nice. It's super fun. And I don't want to miss out on that stuff. And so the way that I leverage tech to enable me to work the way I work is great. Like we'll be in Scottsdale from the 26th to the 30th. And the 30th, we fly to San Diego to go to our buddies for New Year's. And then we'll be down there through the 4th. And so it sounds like I'm going to be gone. Oh, Sean's on vacation for 10 days. And it's like, I won't miss a beat. Like I'll be at places with the internet. I'm going to bring my Starlink with me. I have my laptop and my second monitor. If you need a pre-approval in 2 minutes, I can send it to you from my phone. And this was my own mental struggle of, Sean, you need to work. You can't go on that trip because you need to work. You got to work. You got to work. Sean, you can go on the trip and you can work, right? Yes. So that's kind of how I try to live my life now.
Dude, I love that, man. Congratulations. Yes, I think it's a big thing is the ego, right? It's keeping us in like a safe zone because we've been past programmed as much as it's crazy to say this. And it's going a little bit down a rabbit hole because, we are talking real estate and technology here is that, it's almost like AI is opening the door to then things that people have never even conceived before from the perspective of like, a computer system is built by a human being, and a human being is going to be everything. There's like you breathe in, you breathe out, ocean in and out, right? Like current, like everything is very similar. It's like it's different, but it's not. And you could say like technology is different from a human being, or a computer and operating system is different than a human being, but really it's not. And when you think about it, we have all these operating systems that are past programming in our brain that we are just been programmed. We don't know. And the ego is a part of that programming system. And you look at these hypnotists. I was watching this one guy, he hypnotized Logan Paul, and he for like $1 million to like win, obviously he didn't win the most recent one, but win fights, whatever. And it's just like literally like, all right, so program, this is the program, this is, you hear it all, okay, cool, hit enter, download, boom. And it's like we all can live our dream, but we are past programmed to a point where we totally forget like we had these cool things that we did as children, and then we're told we can't do it because you don't sound good enough with singing, or no, be safe, don't ride that bull because I don't want you to die. And then, and then you lose hope if you don't continue to do it behind your parents' back. And I think a lot of parents out there too who's viewing this, like they try to like have the kids follow in their footsteps. And it's like, no, let them do what they want to do and how they want to do it and what they want to do. And congratulations, Sean, you're a testament to them being as successful as they are, is because you allowed them to follow their passions and their dreams, and you didn't give them any preconceived notions or past programming to put them into a box.
Well, no, I appreciate that for sure. And I definitely did. Like with my older son, when he was chasing the social media thing, like I remember he came up to me one day, this is 2021, I think. Okay. He's like, Instagram's coming out with this thing called Reels. It's going to be very similar to Snapchat. As soon as it comes out, I'm going to make one every day, because if you're first on a platform, you have a head start. So he made the decision. He's going to post at 8 p.m. every single day. We're eating dinner and he's like on his phone, and I'm like, dude, get off your phone. And he's like, I have to do this right now. I'm like, you don't need to do this right now. Like, and I was just on him. I'm like, and he did need to do it. And he has made an Instagram post at 8 p.m. every single day since that day. And then that got his YouTube channel going. And then because he was so consistent, this big YouTuber picked him up and was on his team and helped build his brand faster. And it's like, but I was programming, right? Is it like I was passing the programming I had on to my kids. And then I went, what do they have to lose? Like if from 18 to 23, they try to chase dreams that technology now allows, like Kingston can go travel the country riding bulls and go to college at the same time because he can do online school. That didn't used to exist. So if you have the ability to do that, why wouldn't you do it? And like in the real estate space, talking about real estate tech, the marketing meetings that they'll have before broker tour days, right? Yeah. Come up and present your listing, and you're there for an hour and a half, and people are schmoozing, and this line of realtors come up here to present their listing. And I'm like, I know, I saw it yesterday. Like it was on the internet yesterday. You don't need to do this anymore. You're doing this out of tradition. You're doing this because pre-internet, you did have to do this. Pre-internet, you did have to have your signs on every corner so I could follow the yellow brick road to get to your listing. I'm not looking at your A-frames anymore. I'm following Google Maps. Your A-frames are good marketing, right? It's good to see your name out there for sure. But we have to question tradition. Are we doing things because it's the way it's always been done? Or is there a way that we could do it to serve ourselves and our clients better? That's kind of how I try to keep questioning everything.
Well said. I was actually out there. So you may know her, maybe not. Michelle Lewis. She's with Coldwell Banker, and this is my wife's twin sister, who's a realtor local. And she has an open house in Martinez, and so we went out to the CCRM one over in Walnut Creek as far as the meeting. And that's how basically I got kicked off. I went back way when like Greg Souza was the president of the one downtown Danville there. That's every Thursday. And so going to those meetings were great. It's a great start. It was awesome. But now it's like, I'm surprised they haven't shifted to more of like a mastermind. Let's do a mastermind. Okay. We all have bills to pay. We all have these listings. Like, what are we going to do to be able to help one another, be able to talk to friends, family, loved ones, whatever it is, SOI, to then try to get this listing sold from a different perspective outside of like, hugs and handshakes and, and then you do, it's cute, it's whatever. But I just feel like, and And from the perspective, and I'll just, keep it real from the perspective of, say, for instance, a tech marketing company, right? Like Liftoff Agent, my intention is to innovate this industry. And I just want to work with the top 1%, which is 15,000 agents, because we all know 90% of the transaction volumes done by the top 10% of real estate professionals is follow the leader, right? So you have 90% of the business of those other agents are just like stay-at-home moms or whatever, they're in, they're out, whatever. And so it's like, they make it so hard within marketing meetings or when you get your company out there to really break in because of the past programming. It's also like you need to take this much time. Oh no, you need to do hugs and hands. Oh no, you need to build these relationships to then solidify yourself from a relational standpoint, even if you have a value proposition that can actually set someone up to 2 to 4x their business. It doesn't even matter until the relationship's done first, until you go through a standard procedure, which is a programming to get somewhere. And so, so what I'm going to do, and I'll just put it out there, I'm putting it on air. The Hard Knocks guy, he goes around, interviews freaking School of Hard Knocks, and he's a younger guy. He's in his 20s. He interviews a bunch of millionaires, and he
just goes, "Hey, how did you make your money?" Like randomly.
Correct.
Yeah, that guy's great. That guy's great.
I'm taking the same concept and starting Jan 1st, I'm going to go to Scottsdale and I'm going to ask people what they think about realtors.
Dude, that's genius.
I'm going to do a complete series and just ask them, what's your thoughts about realtors? How do you think they can improve? And totally break the programming, because if I've been 10 years in, 16,000 plus agents later, I almost have 500 agents across the country that I'm serving, but still people aren't listening. It's like, all right, fine. I'm going to let the market speak for itself.
Well, have you seen this is a whole nother thing we could talk about. Have you seen the Realtors Hate Me guy on Instagram?
No.
Oh, dude, you should interview him. So
really?
So the long story short, somehow he ended up in my algorithm early on.
Okay.
And he was like day one of selling my house to prove you don't need a real estate agent. And he lived, I think it's a $2 million house in Colorado. He's a tech guy. And he's doing this series, day 2, day 3, doing professional photos, hosting the open houses, like all these things.
Yeah, this guy?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Realtors are like, if you go back into that, it's like the comments are awful, like how they hate, his name's perfect. And that was his intention, right? He's trying to prove that the way real estate is done is not the way it should be done anymore. And he uses the NAR settlement as a great example of that, of like everything we just talked about in the beginning of this. If a realtor was getting paid, 3% or 6% back in 1975 when my grandparents bought a house and everything was paper and you had to drive and you had to this and you had to. Yeah. And now with all the tech offsets that we have that have really simplified the process, but the compensation hasn't changed and the home values have gone up 20x. His whole premise is this compensation structure doesn't make sense. You as a homeowner shouldn't have to pay a listing agent this much money. And then what he did off the back, so he got his home into contract because he said he was going to move to Costa Rica. And then he goes, we decided not to sell our house and we're going to stay here. And I go, wait a sec, who are you selling it to? Because you can't, as a seller, you don't just get to back out, right? So it's like maybe played a little bit of a game there. And then he started this company called Ridley, where it's basically a for sale by owner platform that uses AI and everything else. And I think he's making waves. And and so to your point, it's like real estate agents, what is it that the consumer wants? What does the home buyer and home seller actually want and need from you? And how do you show your value in exchange for what you want to charge for it? And that's what I thought the NAR settlement really tried to transform. And today it's still kind of business as usual. Yeah. But what I've been teaching agents is if you don't know how to show your value, it's not going to work out. I don't think I was wrong. I was just early, right? Yeah. And that's really the premise of that guy there. But I think if you went out and asked that question, you'll probably get a lot of the same feedback that he talks about, And I love real estate agents. Like 99% of my business comes from real estate agents. Just like I've had to shift and adapt and get better as a mortgage advisor, not a loan officer, but I have to become a mortgage advisor. Like, you're not a real estate agent anymore. You're not a realtor anymore. You have to be a real estate advisor. Because people will pay for advice, but they don't need you to pay. They don't need to pay you to open the door. They don't need to pay you for photos. They don't need to pay you to find a painter. The internet and ChatGPT could do that, no problem. So if AI is empowering homeowners to figure out staging, painting, marketing, what is your value where you use those AI tools to make yourself better so your clients make more money and have a better experience? That's the shift I think is coming.
100%. And it's funny you say that because that's exactly our value proposition with the sponsor of the show. So it's like be the mayor of your town, maps, guides, YouTube, talk about not the home, but the area, talk about the schools, talk about the shopping, talk about the lifestyle of where you potentially would be moving to. Because for me, I wanted to be next to the freeway, not too close, but close enough so I can get to the airport. I wanted the airport not to be too far away. I want to be close by downtown. I want to live off a golf course. And so not only do you want bedrooms, bathrooms, pools, chickens, whatever, but then also like, do you want to be back to your cousin or back to hiking trails, whatever the case may be. So that way you can add more value, because people now are searching about, like, that's what I did. I said like moving to say Arizona, and I was like, okay, Central Phoenix. Okay, cool. I found some guy on YouTube and he showed me Chandler, Gilbert, Mesa. And then I found out that Gilbert is the next big thing to Scottsdale for millennial families. And then they have a new downtown coming up. And so that educational bits actually gave me the confidence to make the move where I'm at today. And I think a lot of agents need to get out of the dancing and the hype and start getting into the education, the service, the support, the help. And honestly, even after the closing, my agent, I told him, hey, I'm gonna do all this stuff in my house and I'm really excited. And he's like, I'm excited for you. And I got nothing but like the most interesting card in the world. And it was some stupid postcard he keeps on sending me. No calls, no texts, no nothing, right? And this house is completely different than it was when I first purchased it. It was like literally not move-in ready like they said it was. And we're already probably over 100,000 plus into the house. And it's just like, well, what about after the close process? What about I need someone for the pool, or I need someone for this, I need solar, I need ATT, I need, pool cleaning, I need all these things. And these agents are leaving money on the table, not saying, hey, here's a vendors list. These people are vetted. I have them on my podcast. I've already interviewed them. You also get savings because of it. And then that company can give the agent kickback. Yep.
So that's the whole after close thing. It's like I created what I call a remarkable client experience. And the word remarkable came, I was listening to an Instagram live between these two guys. And one guy's in a hotel room, and the other guy's like, well, what hotel are you at? He's like, man, he's like, my assistant sets it up. I stay here every single time. I can't remember the name. And the guy's like, oh, it's so remarkable you can't remember the name. And they both laughed. And I go, wow, like, are we remarkable? And remark to me means to talk about. So Sean, your client experience needs to be so good, people can't wait to talk about it. And it doesn't end when they close on their house. We do mortgage reviews for every single client every 3 months to make sure they always have the best mortgage possible. We have a vendor list. We have a concierge service that we buy for them when they close. So if they need a painter, a housekeeper, a pool guy, a whatever, they're one concierge away from that service. There's all these things we do after the fact to make sure that they stay clients. And with real estate agents and for mortgage people for that matter, it's like, oh, you sold your house? Yeah. Well, why didn't you call me? Dude, I haven't talked to you in 3 years. Like, I forgot you existed.
Are you still in the business?
Where do you get off thinking that you're so special that I'm going to remember you 5 years from now if you don't stay in touch with me?
Correct. Yes. I love that saying. People forget what you said and did, but they won't forget the way you made them feel.
Yeah. Again, that's the way I look at, like, the way I do things. It's in far more depth. It's a lot more work. And so, like on the real estate and mortgage professional side of things, like, you have to rethink how you're doing things, because it's not going to be this next year's going to be an entirely different game.
Oh, dude, 100%. I have a really cool idea for you.
All right.
I'm just going to throw it out there. Mastermind on the van. You know the show, Is It Cake?
Yes.
Is it cake? Well, I can see Sean saying, do you rent or buy, and why?
Yeah.
And just put that on the side of the van. Do you rent it or buy, or why? And have a QR code. And people can actually put in and maybe inquire why they rent or buy. And then I can imagine you interviewing people and parking your van like downtown Scottsdale or something like that. And you go interview random people and ask them, do you rent or buy, or why?
Yeah.
I'm doing a series and I want to understand why. And then literally, not selling them, not trying to offer anything, just getting into their heads and educating people on the spot and turn that into a complete content series where you literally on your Instagram can blow up on short form content and like it could be a 3-minute interview or less, and you just have someone follow you with the camera, and then you have your van out there, dude. That could be freaking
done. I'm gonna do that. There's a spot in Carmel, scenic Carmel. I always park there, just like look at the ocean and work. I'm just gonna get an A-frame. I don't want to wrap the van, but I'm gonna get an A-frame. Do you rent or buy and why? And it's almost like that. Did
you see that guy?
That go to college campuses and says, change my mind.
Okay.
Same. And I'm going to do that. That's a brilliant idea.
Well, there was a guy on the beach that had basically just set up a table and he just had like a index, big old freaking like poster board, just wrote on it and said like, I'm a realtor, ask me anything. And people would just go up to him. But you can also get big old magnets and just throw a magnet on would you want to have it there or not? So, and then put it out there. But no, I'll follow the journey, man. I'm curious to see what you do with that. But I think that'd be super cool just to get out to the general public. You're out there anyways. And and then that way it's just like let the people speak for the people, and then you can educate the person on the spot, and then the people that are watching the content are going to chime in with their freaking questions. I see you could be.
That's a great idea. That's really cool.
Viral quick, bro. You're going to be like having a hard time getting out the questions.
And it'll force me to working from this office has gotten so comfortable because it's a mile from my house.
Yeah.
And like in the summer, it's too hot to work out of the van here, but I used to go to Pacifica. So your concept will get me to go van life again. Yeah,
I love it, dude. Do you rent or own, and why? That's going to be a cool series, dude.
Yeah.
This has been with all the technical difficulties. I'm glad that we got to a silver lining and some really cool opportunities. And so I'll be following your journey and what you're going to do with your series, and then I'm going to put my series out there, and I'm super excited about that. And I really appreciate your time, man. That was a fun show today.
Super fun,
we got through the tech, and we got to an hour. We did it.
No, I appreciate you, dude. Thanks. Yeah, I never have tech issues until today. But, it was unreal. But this is super fun. Like, I really enjoyed it. I could talk for hours.
Likewise.
About all this stuff. So thank you, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, for sure. I'll have to keep in contact because go out to California a lot. And then when you come out here as well, too bad we didn't line things a little bit differently, because you could have came over to the podcast studio here and we could have just got you freaking straight up in the studio. Hey, as we close out, is there anything you would like to leave with our viewers and listeners as we put a bow tie at the end of the show?
Yeah, I guess I'll just kind of go back to that thing I always say, question tradition. Like, whether you're in real estate and you want to grow your business, question, are you doing what you want to do? Or are you doing what you're supposed to do because the industry told you so? And if you're renting or you're a homeowner and you want to make real estate moves, are we indecisive because of tradition, right? Is it that what's happened in the past is stopping me from being where I want to be in the future? And just ask more questions.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Well, Sean, thanks so much for being on Real Estate Technology. Thanks to our viewers and listeners, as it is our intention for you to take things from episode and more massive success. Like, subscribe, notification bell. Thanks to Liftoff Agent and team for editing and producing the show itself. And who knows, maybe you can go out in the streets and go interview some individuals and ask them why they rent or buy. There's plenty of opportunities out there. So God bless, take care. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. We'll see you on the next one.